Good evening. It is January 14th, 2025, and it is 6:30 p.m. This is the time and place for the regular meeting of the Northern Lebanon School Directors, Board of Directors, School District Board of Directors. I do call this meeting to order. Director Klein, lead us in a flag salute. Great, thank you. Mrs. Hartman, may I have a roll call, please?
Director Blau.
Here.
Director England.
Here.
Director Fowler.
Present.
Director Klein.
Here.
Director Kreiser.
Present.
Director Moyer.
Here.
Director Murray.
Here.
Vice President Williams.
Here.
President Nam.
Present.
Uh,
And I would just note that both Director Fowler and Director Kreiser are present remotely. Yep. That's 9, yes.
all present.
Okay, great, thank you. First item this evening is adoption of tonight's agenda. I know everyone has had an opportunity to review it. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director England. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of adopting the agenda, please indicate with an aye or yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. Oh, okay. All right. Yep. Did you catch that, Director Kreiser, Director Fowler? We need an audible vote.
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
Yes, thank you. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Presentations for this evening. Director England, would you like to read the students of the month?
Sure. The high school students of the month for January are Hannah England and McKenna McLean. This award is sponsored jointly by the Fredericksburg and Jonestown Lions Clubs. The middle school student of the month for January is Clara Fessler. This award is sponsored by the Northern Lebanon County Rotary Club, and each recipient will be recognized at a future meeting of the Rotary Club.
Great, thank you. And I know that we have Hannah here. Who else is here? Clara, great. Good to have you both here. Congratulations. Well done. Okay, Student Council President. Do we have the Student Council rep here today? I don't see Nathan. Okay, we do have a presentation this evening. Brooke Beamisturfer, are you able to participate online?
I believe so, if you can hear me.
We can, Brooke, and welcome back to Northern Lebanon remotely.
Thank you. So I guess I'll do a little introduction. I'm not sure if you guys have any questions or anything for me tonight, but essentially my name is Brooke Beamisturfer and I currently serve as the Lebanon Area Fair Queen. So I was just tuning into the meeting tonight just to provide you all with a little explanation on my role, what I do to promote agriculture within the community, my background that kind of led up to that, and some of my upcoming steps. So.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
Proceed.
so I am a Northern Lebanon alumni, which makes this kind of special for me, but a little bit about my background, which led to me being the Lebanon Area Fair Queen. I've grown up on my family farm, Thistle Creek Farm, my whole life. We grow Bell and Evans poultry, grass-fed beef, a herd of boar goats, which I also show as livestock, and then we also have crops and hay. So this kind of set the foundation for my passion and interest within the industry. When I became of age for 4-H, which is 8 years old, I joined. First, I did clubs where I learned how to sew and do cake decorating, and then I got more involved on the livestock side of things, entering Goat Club. And then once I became a high school student and was super involved with FFA, this opened more doors and opportunities for me to be involved with our fair. So whether it was volunteering in the food stands or providing fair tours, anything you name it, I enjoyed doing it. So when there's an opportunity, another thing I do at the fair now is I work there in the summertime. So our kind of title is Fair Office Coordinator. So we do anything from securing sponsorships for the fair, organizing all the entries that come in, organizing fundraisers. There's a bunch of different things that kind of go along with our job. So basically, a big background. I've a lot of experience not only in agriculture but also with our fair. So when the opportunity came for me to run for the Lebanon Area Fair Queen, I was super excited. I guess a little bit about that contest. We did an interview, a speech, and there was an application to go along with it. And usually the opening day of our fair is when we have our what we call the coronation. So we completed that. That's when my role kind of started. And then ever since then, it's kind of been my job to just promote and represent agriculture within our community. I guess I'll just provide you all with a little recap of what I've been involved with, specifically with Northern Lebanon also. This past Christmas season, when I was home for winter break from college, where I'm actually in Alabama studying agricultural business. So I saw that as a great opportunity to do something with our elementary students. So I believe it was the Thursday right before break, so they're already getting a little excited for Christmas. I gave a presentation to each grade level on the learning stairs, just a quick, short, and fun presentation about the fair, how they can get involved, and why agriculture is important. And then at the conclusion of that presentation, the students all actually had an opportunity to get involved with our fair. So as I'll kind of talk about later, and especially in my speech, we have the West Hall for those of you who've never been to the fair. And it's filled with just different types of things that people of all ages can enter, whether it's apple pies or Legos or woodworking, all sorts of things. So one of the things on that list of entries of things you can enter is a Christmas tree ornament. So I thought this was a great opportunity for each grade level to have a little competition to see who can make the best Christmas ornaments. And then the top 3 out of each class I collected, and they will be entered in the Lebanon Area Fair come this summertime, which I thought was just a fun and easy opportunity for kids to get involved with our fair. A couple other things I've been involved in, the Pennsylvania Association of County Fairs has different parades throughout the year that we can enter. Me personally, I did the Myerstown Holiday Parade. And then we also just do community service. So one example of that we did New Year's Eve, actually, we joined the residents of the Londonderry Village for their New Year's Eve party. So that was a cool little experience. The last kind of part of my involvement was at the farm show this year, which was super cool because it was a brand new program. Basically, we just had a table and a booth where we were able to promote county fairs and just why they're important and how they continue to honor the tradition of agriculture in many of the communities across the Commonwealth. So there is a couple just leading factors of how I became Fair Queen, what I've been doing as Fair Queen, and now upcoming, I have kind of the big part of my role, which is at the end of the month, all of the Fair Queens across the state compete for the state title. So we currently have 107 fairs within the state of Pennsylvania. 61 of those have Fair Queens. So there will be 60 other contestants, and the contest will be essentially the same as a fair contest, just at the state level. So I guess this is a time now. I have my speech that I thought I would share with you all to give you a little more information about our fair, but also practice for the upcoming state contest. But I also have some time if you have any questions to ask me.
Great. Thank you. Please go. We look forward to hearing it.
Okay. Give me 1 second. All right. Good evening, and what an honor it is to be here to represent the Lebanon Area Fair. Come summertime, specifically between July 19th and the 26th, I welcome you to attend our fair as we gather in the name of local agriculture to share food, fun, and fellowship as a community. Now, when it comes to this annual community tradition, community is the key word. In between peaceful sunrises and busy sunsets, our ever evolving yet timeless attractions encourage the local population to come together, generating a special sense of camaraderie like no other. Now, as we focus our attention upon this year's upcoming fair theme, which is PA Fairs Cultivating Future Generations, the true embodiment of the Lebanon Area Fair is recognized. With a large selection of ways to get involved, exhibitors, volunteers, and even guests of all ages can explore their agricultural interests full-heartedly. A strong foundation in American agriculture makes all of this excitement possible. At the Lebanon Area Fair, we showcase the local charm of a rural way of life. Throughout our barns and West Hall, we proudly display baked goods homemade with love using PA preferred ingredients, friendly livestock who are worked with by our local youth, an assortment of handmade items crafted by local artisans of all ages, and much more. Now, within the eateries located at the center of our fairgrounds, volunteers happily serve meals, often prepared using the products of many local farmers. Along the outskirts of our fairgrounds, engines rev and crowds cheer at our track as local legends compete, some for a trophy and others simply to provide the best entertainment. Towards the west end of our fairgrounds, children's smiles light up as they notice the extent of our carnival. Now, wherever you may be standing on our fairgrounds, you may find that an upbeat tune fills the air as local musicians perform on our main stage and pavilion. With this and much more, there's certainly something at our fair for those of any age or interest. Now, excitement aside, involvement with the Lebanon Area Fair provides a deeper level of fulfillment. Within my hands holds the very first ribbon I earned as a young exhibitor at the Lebanon Area Fair. Now, while it may not boast a shiny blue or purple color, this ribbon resembles something far more valuable. This ribbon symbolizes growth, a continued growth that every facet of our fair promotes. For me, this very ribbon provided me motivation and inspiration for the future, all while establishing a humble beginning to build upon. Now, as the years have passed, I have grown in my accomplishments, but also in my character, as the Lebanon Area Fair holds a standard of service and an honest work ethic. The shiny gold letters encapsulating the Lebanon Area Fair. The shiny gold letters reading the Lebanon Area Fair encapsulates an organization which has had a tremendous impact upon my life and many others. While the ribbons may fade, the memories and life values attained last a lifetime. So with this, all to answer your question as to why should you come to my county fair, I would argue that the true question is, why shouldn't you? From experiencing a variety of inclusive attractions to sharing a contagious sense of togetherness and honest life values, the Lebanon Area Fair is truly an event like no other. For no matter what the decision may be at the conclusion of this coronation, I will continue to promote the importance of this special countywide tradition because of the way that it establishes our community beyond its county lines, unifying us by heart rather than location. Thank you.
And
So,
Brooke, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We're so proud of you, Northern Lebanon alum. I do have one question for you. What's the temperature down there?
The temperature. So this is kind of a funny answer. It snowed here on Friday, but today it was like 55. So it's all over the place, but it's definitely a little nicer than home right now.
Any questions for Brooke? Well, thank you again. We look forward to seeing you. If we get to the fair, will you be handing out milkshakes?
I wish. Unfortunately, my power doesn't extend to free milkshakes. I wish.
All right.
I hope to see you all at the fair this year.
All right. Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you, Brooke. I just would like to remind folks, if you've come in, make sure you sign in on the sign-in sheet so we have a record of all the public attendance. Thank you. Yeah, and Nathan, right? You're a student council president, right? Good. You ready to give a report? Fantastic.
Hello, everybody. I'm here on our liaison Carter's behalf as he is out sick today. Considering this meeting marks the first formal gathering of school directors during the month of January, I would like to take this opportunity to read an excerpt from the proclamation to make January School Director Representative Month. Whereas the role of locally elected school officials has served the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and local communities in meeting the needs of public education since the passage of the Free School Act in 1834, and whereas these local boards have discharged their responsibilities to public education in a manner which has placed public education in the forefront of our educational systems, and whereas locally elected officials have distinguished themselves and their communities in this non-paid volunteer public service commitment, and whereas the contributions of these men and women should be recognized and appreciated by those who benefit from the workings of our public school system. Now therefore it be resolved that the Board of Directors of the Pennsylvania School Boards Association hereby proclaims the month of January as School Director Recognition Month in this Commonwealth, and further resolved that the proclamation be communicated to all school directors, school officials, and local communities in a planned program which brings visibility, awareness, and the role of locally elected school officials to the citizenry of this Commonwealth. Thank you. And then regarding student council, we have been reviewing our late year class wars and pep rally events and laying out preparations for our spring dance set to be held in March. And that's all I have today.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you.
And I know Nathan is student council president, and our students of the month that have joined us. You guys are overachievers, and therefore you have you are very excited about staying and listening to the rest of the meeting. But if you choose to go, you are welcome to do so. We will not be offended. We have another presentation tonight. On that note, very exciting. It is time for our annual audit report, and I think Alex has joined us. Alex Frank.
Yes, hi. Thank you for having me. Make sure everyone can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you.
Great. Yeah, thank you for having me. Wait for this screen to come up. So yeah, as said, I'm Alex Frank. I'm here to present the results of the audit. I know this is hard to follow up the previous presentations with this, but I'll try and keep it short and sweet for everyone. If you want to go forward 2 slides, please. So we were engaged to perform the audit in the school district. We were on site for a day or two in mid to late September. I came out, looked at the physical stuff, so invoices, any other documents that aren't available electronically. We hope to have final reports out by the end of the month, hopefully by next week is our goal. And we also performed a single audit, which I'll talk about later, and that'll be submitted with the Federal Audit Clearinghouse upon the completion of the audit. Next slide, please. A little background on the audit itself and kind of the results. We issued a unmodified or clean audit opinion for the year. We followed auditing standards generally accepted in the US, as well as government auditing standards. A few other responsibilities are management of the school district are responsible for the financial statements themselves and implementing the controls for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. Our responsibility is to conduct the audit and obtain reasonable assurance that those financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with the applicable accounting standards. We also had no deficiencies or material weaknesses noted during our testing. Next slide, please. So how we conduct our audits, we design our procedures based on the areas of the greatest risk. So we kind of take the school district as a whole to start, then use both our experience with school districts and with your specific district and kind of dig in deeper and see where are the areas that we need to focus more on, whether that be a little extra testing in cash if something comes up there, looking at fixed assets, the district's debt, kind of all of these things come into play when we're making our decisions on how we're going to test things. This process includes talking to individuals, whether that's the finance team, a board member if necessary, or even AP clerks, anyone. We also review district's internal controls. So we go through them. We then follow through the process with the transaction to make sure what is documented is what's actually being performed. Then after that, we'll look at year-over-year data. Sometimes we'll project some data and compare to what actual results were. And then after all of that's done, we dive into the details, meaning we'll make samples of invoices, checks, revenue that has been received, so tax receipts, all of that kind of information. We'll also review the minutes for the year, make sure we're picking up any big happenings during the year through the board minutes, and we'll review any new contracts, agreements, and anything for applicability to the audit. Next slide, please. Quickly, I just wanted to touch on some of the numbers, the more tangible things that come out of the audit. So for the year, you'll see the general fund had a ending fund balance of about $16 million. That's an increase of just over $9.9 million. About $950,000 of that is committed for future operations. 713 is non-spendable, meaning that's sitting in a prepaid expense that is paid shortly after year end or throughout the year. And then 9.3 million of that fund balance is assigned for other projects. The remainder being unrestricted and to fund future operations or shortfalls as necessary. The capital projects fund increased about $14.5 million in the current year, mostly due to new issuances in debt. Next slide, please. And quickly, the budget for the year, revenues exceeded the budget by about $4.9 million. A lot of this came from Act 511 taxes, state source increases, and as well as increases in federal funding due to the wrap up of a lot of the ESSER funding this year. And interest income increased due to increases in the rates during 2024. Expenditures exceeded budget by about 3.1 million, kind of in line with that federal revenue coming in. Since as federal revenues come in, they have to be spent at an equal rate to be recognized as revenue. And that's kind of where we saw most of that increase going towards instructional and support programs. The budget was presented with a surplus of $8.3 million, and the actual result was an increase of fund balance of 9.9 million. Next slide, please. And then I quickly want to touch base on the food service fund for the year. We saw the food service fund increased about $65,000 from the prior year. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. Just increases in charges for service and some of the federal funding on par with the general fund. Next slide, please. As you all know, the school is part of the PSERS OPEB and pension plans, as well as their own separately funded single employer plan for OPEB. This year, the net pension liability for PSERS was sitting around $48 million, which is a decrease of 1.4 million. The OPEB liability is around 4.3, which is an increase of about 66,000. Those fluctuate year to year depending on the rates PSERS sets for the year. We're seeing now for the pension, it's starting to level out a little bit, and these changes are starting to be less drastic each year. And we're happy to report the district made all the required payments for these pensions and liabilities. Next slide, please. So quickly, I want to touch on also the capital assets. The district had about $66 million in net capital assets. This is a decrease of 10.5 million from last year. The main drivers here were the sale of buildings during the year, as well as a inventory done or revaluation done by, I believe it was Asset Control Solutions, who went through and detailed the capital assets that the school had, came back with their report, which then adjusted what is reported. That's pretty typical. If they're done in get big gaps of each other, there tends to be a lot of old stuff kind of sitting that never gets removed, not by error or anything. They just be old items that aren't known they're removed or what have you. So that's your big difference there. Not like nothing too out of the ordinary. It's a big number, but it's not anything to worry about. The district also had a couple smaller liabilities, such as subscription liabilities and leases, about $7,000 and $2,000 respectively. Nothing crazy. I don't have it on the slide, but the district also has, as you know, bonds outstanding. This year they increased to $28 million for the new issuances in 2024 and 2023. Other than that, all the payments are made on those, and the district appears to be in good standing with those bonds. Next slide, please. I would like to say we had no disagreements with management or difficulties incurred. There was no material audit entries. We reviewed the audit with the finance team. We send them copies of it as we're going through it, have them forward us any changes or revisions they would like. We also had full cooperation from the finance team. Leanne and her team were great, to say the least. Pleasure to work with. Made the audit a breeze. So I want to give my utmost thanks and appreciation to them. Just on this slide, I didn't put it in here, but this year, when you see the final audit report, there is a slight change. We implemented a new accounting standard, early implemented, I should say, goes into effect. I believe it would be fiscal year 26 for the school. However, we early implemented it, and the big changes you'll see are changes to the management discussion and analysis. It greatly decreased the length of it, but kept all of the, I'll say, meat of the discussion. So it really condenses it and makes it more of a management tool than a full, kind of right, what is it, but a full discussion. It's condensed discussion that has all of the key points needed for a financial statement. And the budget to actual schedule presented in the statements is now a required supplementary information schedule, and therefore will have its own separate notes discussing any changes to the budget or any changes from or any differences from budget to actual results. So you'll see those changes, and if you're interested, when you get the final report, I'll be here for questions on specific things there. I don't have the report right in front of me to show you. Next slide, please. And like I said earlier, the school underwent a federal single audit. This gets triggered when an entity spends over $750,000 of federal funding. It's a separate audit included in our financial statement audit. We review the use of federal funds and the controls over the compliance with those funds. We look at the internal control policies over federal funds, procurement and how bids are put out for certain contracts, if it's applicable, how the funds are spent, reporting requirements, all of this. What we test is identified by the Office of Management and Budget in what they call the Uniform Grant Guidance. And it lists pretty much everything we need to know about how these funds should be spent. And they're congruent with kind of how you as a district are told to spend these things. So we go through, we try and match it one-to-one, make sure it's all fine. We had no findings on our single audit. This year we tested IDEA funding and the ESSER programs. This should be the last year ESSER comes up out of anyone's mouth, I hope. Hope there's not a new anything coming out. I'm sure as a board, and I know as the finance team, those grants have been a headache for everyone. It was nice to get the money, obviously, but the regulations were changing so frequently with that, it kind of was a whirlwind, to say the least. And I think that's it. If you click the next slide, I think it should be a blank one. Yes. And then with that, I guess, if there's any questions, I'm here. If anyone has any questions?
Thanks, Alex. Any questions from the board?
Alex, when do you expect the finalized reports?
It's going through our final review process right now. I anticipate hopefully end of next week, the latest, the final report will come out, and that'll get sent to Leanne and her team, and then sent out to the board probably from them.
Is that electronic or do we still do the printed ones?
It should be electronic. We can give printed if you would like, but we default to electronic, and then we'll send out paper if we need to.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate the good report.
Yeah, of course. And if, like I said, if you have any questions, you can let Leanne or Linda know, and they can shoot them my way, and I'll answer them as quickly as I can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Last item under reports is the superintendent's report. Dr. Messinger?
Leanne, anything to add to that? Good job, by the way.
Thank you. I actually don't have anything to add to his audit report. I think we covered all the basics there. And, but I did just want to draw your attention that next month in February, we will have Brad Remick in to present for our next bond. This will be our final bond for the construction, hopefully. And he will be presenting, we have the authorization to proceed on tonight's agenda, and in February, he'll be presenting the parameter resolution, which will go on then in March for the board to approve. And then in April, we will be having the auction and receiving the funds from that bond. And also on the agenda next month, I know we had talked about this a little bit in our workshop, but the fact that we will be needing to transfer money over from the general fund. So I will have that motion on the agenda for you all next month because we need that money to continue paying our construction at this time. So we'll be making that transfer. And that is all I had. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback because it gets lost sometimes in that presentation that a lot of that excess funds, he mentioned a little piece of it, but 9 point something of it was the sale of the buildings.
Yes.
And we intend to use that, a lot of that money for the construction project. So those numbers are typically not that high, but we're happy to have them. So speaking of construction.
Sure.
Dr. Ebert.
So I'd just like to publicly acknowledge Dr. Ebert, the secondary administrative team, the custodial staff, the maintenance staff, teachers, and general school staff. They've moved into the 200s hall, a phase that you'll recall we changed the schedule slightly in order to accommodate additional work being done. They're moved in. I believe all but one of the classrooms now has students attending in that area. That's not to say that we didn't have our issues, you know, as you move into a new space, a space that's been shut down for weeks, and you expect heat to be on, and heat wasn't on in some of the areas. So we've been working through those little details. We call them kind of one-off things. And you'll recall during our many walkthroughs, I talk about how the punch lists are created. The punch list needs to be created for this area so that finishing touches, you know, are done before the end of the project, and that work continues. In addition, you'll recall that we had changed some scheduling around because of the difficulties in the band room occurring, that we weren't able to get the band students into the band room, so they were using the auditorium. The auditorium work is still continuing. We expect to have a better idea by the end of this week when we'll be able to get the students in there to start rehearsing for musical, which at the moment is still scheduled to occur the first week in March. And in case you haven't noticed or haven't driven by, the next area of work that's occurring is pretty visual from the front of the building. the facade or the curtain wall that is the 20s. So there's 4 classrooms that are on the south side of the building to the right of the main entrance, between the main entrance and what would have been the high school cafeteria. That wall is now gone. The asbestos that was in that wall is gone as of this weekend. And as soon as they get the temporary heat working correctly, they'll be able to start putting up the block wall. That's going to be our new exterior for that section of the building. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and we've had a lot of presentations. Just real quickly, wanted to mention a few things. Number one, Nathan did a good job of talking about that resolution to recognize school board members. It is School Board Appreciation Month. You have some gifts, some parting gifts. I will tell you, for those of us that are follically challenged, the hat is warm.
Good.
And but thank you for what you do. I know it's a lot of time and it's not a whole lot of money. So
That's why we're follically challenged.
yeah. I do want to point out that thinking in terms of next month, there are 2 presentations. We will have a committee meeting and a regular meeting. 2 presentations though next month. Kirk is going to actually be doing a presentation on AI to educate the board on AI and what impact that's currently having in education as we prepare to put together a policy ourselves. And then also, I will be giving my annual mid-year update and next steps for us, and talking a little bit about that next month as well. That's the end of my report for
Great.
tonight.
Thanks. Any questions? Okay, hearing none. Great reports. And I hope Kirk doesn't do an AI presentation on AI. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, we'll move to the public comment portion of this evening's meeting. Interested public were asked to provide a written request to address the board before 3 o'clock this afternoon. I understand that there were no requests received for public comment. So there is no public comment this evening. So we'll move directly to items for board action. We do have a full agenda for this evening. It should be noted that public notice was given for this meeting in accordance with Act 84 of 1986. By notice of the president, the following action requires a voice vote. All votes in favor shall be stated with an aye or yes. All votes opposed shall be stated with a nay or no. All members abstaining shall state I abstain when prompted. The votes will be recorded in the minutes as a unanimous roll call vote unless there are any votes in opposition or abstention. If necessary, the president may subsequently call for a roll call vote to be recorded in the minutes. I think what we'll do this evening is we'll just go through by item number. So Dr. Messinger can walk us through each of the items in, say, Section 7 or Section 8, and then we can, if we need to pull something out for a specific vote, we can do so. Okay?
Sure. I'll start
Great.
with Section 7. Our typical 3 items are actually 4 this month. The approval of minutes for both the reorganization meeting and the regular board meeting, the student activity count. And you'll remember that we did not vote on the cash disbursements because it had been an executive instead of public. Wanted to make sure those were public. So we actually have 2 cash disbursements, 7.3, which is December, and then 7.4, which was the November.
Okay, great. Any questions regarding those items? Okay, if there are no questions, then is there a motion to adopt 7.1 through 7.4?
Motion to approve 7.1 through 7.4.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Blau. Any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving items 7.1 through 7.4, please indicate with an aye or yes. And before you do so, just a reminder for Director Fowler and Director Kreiser to come off mute for this vote. So all those in favor, now please indicate with an aye or yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to item 8. This is the budget and finance.
Yeah, 8.1 is authorizing us to work with Brad Remming, our PFM financial advisors, to start preparing for the next bond. And then 8.2 is the annual list of district depositories that we use. I ask you would approve 8.1 and 8.2.
Okay, any questions regarding those? Okay, pretty well worn ground, I would guess, at this point. So hearing no questions, is there a motion to adopt 8.1 and 8.2? Thank you, Director England. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Blau, thank you. Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving 8.1 and 8.2, please indicate with an aye or yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, my vote is also yes, so that motion carries unanimously. Building and grounds.
Okay, 9.1, it's that time again for us to start thinking about getting some students in place for summer work crew. We had a tremendous group last year that helped with quite a bit with the renovation. Same amount of students and same pay, which we had raised last year. And then 9.2 is it is time to renew our trash removal agreement with Sadison's.
Great. Any questions on 9.1 and 9.2? Okay, is there a motion to adopt 9.1 and 9.2?
Motion to adopt 9.1 and 9.2.
Thank you, Director Blau. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Klein. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving 9.1 and 9.2, please indicate with an aye or yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, my vote is also yes. That motion carries unanimously. And extracurricular.
Okay, 10.1, we have quite a few spring folks lined up to assistant coaches and volunteers, and quite a few of them, 20 listed there for you, to be helping with our athletic programs. And then number 10 and 10.2 is our annual TSA trip, where Mr. Lingle takes the Technology Student Association team to participate in the state conference, April 23rd to April 25th.
Okay.
6th. Sorry, I don't have my glasses.
26. Yes,
Six.
26th, yeah. Okay. Any questions for Dr. Messinger on those? Okay, is there a motion to adopt 10.1 and 10.2?
Motion to adopt 10.1 and 10.2.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there a second? Thank you, Director England. Is there any discussion? Director Klein, did you
Yes,
need?
I have
Okay.
to, I'm gonna abstain from number 10.1. Is my spouse.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving items 10.1 and 10.2, please indicate with an aye or yes.
Aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed? And any abstentions?
I do.
Okay, great.
10.1.
Okay. With that, then, my vote is also yes. So motion carries unanimously with the exception of item 10.1 subsection 2, which has one abstention. Okay, great. Thank you. Human relations.
Okay, we have a long-term sub for third grade listed there, Sarah Metzger, and also a long-term sub for phys ed, a graduate of ours, Lindsay McFeeters. We have two resignations. One, Mrs. Erdman is seeking other employment, and also Mrs. Hoffer, who is retiring. Another graduate of Northern Lebanon who will be retiring at the end of this school year. 11.3, we have a few people for column movement there with academic credits. 11.4, we approved Juliana Toro as the 8th grade class advisor. 11.5, we have some mentors for our new staff, Janelle Lewis for Brandon Goff, and also for Lindsay McFeeters, and Lisa Moscow for Sarah. And then 11.6, finally, we have some changes, additions to the substitute list that we put on there pretty much every month.
Okay, great. Any questions on 11.1 through 11.6? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adopt 11.1 through 11.6? Thank you, Director England. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Yes, Director Moyer, second. Any discussion? I just want to say, I was talking with Director Murray prior to the meeting, and we're so excited to get a Northern Lebanon grad, and we were just remarking that it seems like yesterday that she graduated. So it's great to have Lindsay coming back to Northern Lebanon, and while we lose one, we gain one. So it's net no change, and that's really awesome that she's coming back. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approving 11.1 through 11.6, please indicate with an aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, my vote's also a yes, so that motion carries unanimously. Move to the information items.
Just a few things. Number one is the comprehensive plan. You may have felt like we just did the comprehensive plan, and there's a reason for that. It wasn't that long ago that we did the comprehensive plan for the state. They had pushed back our due date due to COVID. But then when it was time to redo it, you had to stick to the original timeframes. So we took that, we made some revisions. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and how it ties into our long-range plan, as well as our goals for next year. I'll do that at the February meeting. However, that needs to be on display for 28 days. I'm going to leave it on display actually till March. So feel free to look through it. Feedback, there is a list of people that we had utilized the last time we had a comprehensive plan. I will email those people to see if they're still willing to maybe take a look at this one again, because they're familiar with the process. And then we'll add a few newbies to that, make sure that they get a chance to review and give feedback as well. Abigail Palkovic will be shadowing Sally Police, our speech therapist. Just want to let you know that. And then also the induction plan, which we've made some tweaks and adjustments to. We've talked about a little bit about that and some of the things we've done for induction, but that is updated. You'll see some sub-plans that go along with the comprehensive plan. That is one of them, but that one is done and there for public view as well.
Okay, great. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the reports. CTC report, Director Klein.
The only major thing I want to bring up is we just had our audit, and much like ours, it was a very CTC did a very good job, and it's a clean audit.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good report. Okay, legislative liaison, Director Kreiser, anything to report?
Yeah, there's a couple pieces of legislation that are in the House Education Committee currently. There's one bill that would give school districts additional time to adopt their budgets and levy property taxes when there's a state budget impasse, as we know that's happened in recent years. There's also another bill that would include additional tools and training for law enforcement that would have, their primary response to a school with in the incident of an intruder. It would be they would blueprints to be provided to law enforcement. And also, probably of particular interest to the board is the playoff reform for the PIAA has been referred to the Intergovernmental Affairs and Operations Committee, so it is moving through the House.
Great. That's excellent news. And thank you for that great report. PSBA liaison, Director Blau.
Just in light of January being the school board recognition month, I saw the statement that was said that research shows a correlation between highly effective boards and student achievement. It just kind of hit home that we need to be doing a good job in order. It's not just all on the students, it's us doing our job as well.
Great. Okay, thank you. Good report. Appreciate it. IU 13, Director Murray.
Probably sound like a broken record at this point, but still continue to need new hires over there at the IU, particularly in our Northern Education Center there, so we can serve more of our children. So yeah, just continue to highlight that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good report. Change Order Committee, Director Fowler, anything to report?
Oh, I'm thrilled to report that we have no report because we haven't had a change order meeting needed.
Okay, great. That's the most lengthy report we've had in a while, so appreciate it.
Crushing it.
Okay, thank you. Just bring everyone's attention to the dates to remember. We do have school closed for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and then just a reminder that we do have both a committee meeting and a regular meeting next month. Okay, with that, is there a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Director Blau. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning, please indicate with an aye or yes.
Yeah.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, my vote's also yes. Motion carries unanimously. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.